Hello there to you, and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. In the previous episode, we helped a ghost find their final resting place. In today's episode, it's time for our next dungeon. Heading back into Martha's Bay, the owl mentioned that our next destination was somewhere around here. This part right here always bugged me when I was a kid, because if you have the feather, you can swim upwards pretty quickly, but there isn't really a way for you to dive down quickly, so I remember that area kind of being annoying to go through as a kid. Level 5, Catfish's Maw. Catfish's Maw, I'm gonna say, this is where dungeons in this game kind of start to get serious. Like, it's not really that difficult once you know what you're doing. But on that first playthrough, I will say this probably will be the place you'll get stumped on more so than any other place before this. Mainly these guys. These guys are iron masks, and they suck. Iron masks, they can only be attacked from the back, which means that if Shulk was in this universe, they would not stand a chance against him. So, just turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, backslash! You need one more hit. I've been spoiled by the red tunic for too long. Backslash! Yeah! Treasure chest! You've got the compass. Now you can see where the chest and... We've already heard this before. That's something I always think about whenever I play games that have an enemy with a weakness being their back. I always think of, like, the backslash from Zelda Chronicles. And it's kind of amusing because thinking about that game... I move my hands when I talk, and my hand was off the controller for a second. I am not the best person ever. Not by a long shot. So, yeah, what am I trying to say? I had something to say about what I was talking about before, and now I can't remember. What was I trying to say? Okay, this right here, we have these crystals we're going to destroy. And then when we go back to the center, we'll be able to do stuff that's super cool. Oh yeah, backslash. So, yeah. I'll move these all the way to the center, and we'll get the key. And now for a super amazing, epic, awesome speedrun tactic. When used inside of a dungeon, Mambo's Mambo will take you back to the entrance. This is by far the most useful song in the entire game. Like, yeah, Bow to the Windfish is required to complete the game, but Mambo's Mambo is the one we'll be using the most throughout this entire adventure, and it's definitely a song that sticks to my mind every now and then. It's like, doot, 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 doot. It's just so simple, but so catchy. Alright, so, I think I finished my train of thought with Shulk. Something I think about every now and then, if there's like a Xenoblade and Kingdom Hearts crossover, remember those Heartless guys? They're like super fat, and you have to attack their back to defeat them. Those guys would not stand a chance against Shulk, because the backslash would be like super overpowered against those guys. Now another thing you can use to defeat the Iron Mask enemies, we can throw a jar at their face. Throwing a jar is instant destruction. I like instant destruction. Instant destruction is my best friend. F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere, anytime at all down here in the deep blue sea. F is for fire that burns down the whole town. U is for uranium bombs. N is for no survivors when you... Yeah, in your face, you punk. Well, you're a skeleton, so you don't really have a face. If you can't destroy a skeleton with your sword, try using a bomb. I cannot look at this guy the same way ever again, because we've already seen this during the Let's Play, but I've come across this guy so often during Scary Demon Dungeon, and it's just like a jumble of sprites. It's just... I can't look at this guy the same way again. I've seen him as like a pile of Kirby. I've seen him as a pile of like severed Marin heads. I can't look at this guy the same way ever again. But yeah, use your spin attack. When he tries to jump on you, you can attack him, and then use a bomb. I can't beat you! I'm out of here! I've got what was inside this box. Come and get it if you can. Master Skull. That's what I thought his name was when I was a kid, but I believe his canonical name is Master Stalfos. This is not where I want to go yet. Actually, can we do anything in this area? I don't think so. But we'll look anyway. Ah, we jumped on a fishy! Yep, this is going to be something important for later. But just keep in mind. For this room right here, we're going to want to go back, out, and back in. And then we go out, and back in. Step on the switch, head over here, and then out, and back in. I don't know why, but this room in particular always stood out to me whenever I think about this place. You found me! You're a real pesky kid, you know that? Ah, wait, that hurt my feelings. So yeah, regular sword attack won't deal damage to him, but this spin attack is what we'll want to do. Unfortunately, this isn't like a 3D Zelda game where we can just like instantly do a spin attack by like circling the thumbstick or anything like that. Because fun fact, the Game Boy did not have a thumbstick. It predated that by like, what, 12 years or whatever. Even then, Nintendo handhelds didn't even have thumbsticks until like the 3DS. It was always so weird the DS like positioned itself as like a super epic awesome console that can like handheld system that can do 3D graphics, but it didn't have a thumbstick or anything like that. I can't beat you. I'm out of here. I'm not saying that you can't completely you can never play a 3D game with a D-pad or anything like that. It's not the most ideal situation in the world, but if you have if your game is programmed with it in mind, it could definitely work. Like Super Mario 3D Land, you can play that. Like you only move in 8 directions in that game, so if that game was only available with the D-pad, it would have worked flawlessly. And like Super Mario 3D World, it's not ideal to play that game with the Wii Remote, but it is something that you could do. But then you got Mario 64 DS, and okay, I'm not gonna say that the game's completely unplayable because the DS didn't have a thumbstick or anything like that, but trying to replicate 360-degree movement when the D-pad only registers 8 directions, it's not the most comfortable situation in the world. You found me! You're a real pesky kid, you know that! You may notice that on the corners of the room, whenever we fight this guy, there are those little blocks that we'll see. We saw the 1 block in the corner, we saw 2 before, now we see 3. So if you come across these rooms out of order, then that's going to be your indication of, okay, this is where we're going to fight this guy on the 3rd battle. That's what we'll need to remember for later. I can't beat you. I'm out of here. I love the idea of this fight. Like, the mid-boss for this dungeon definitely stands out more so than, like, the actual boss fights we'll see later. And even then, the boss fight of this dungeon is pretty cool. At last, you got a map. Press the start button to look at it. I don't know why I gave it a menacing voice right there. Now, I'll be honest, I don't entirely know what the map is supposed to replicate here. I'm going to assume it's some kind of fish, but I don't know. I'll have a caption on screen telling me what's supposed to be, but to be completely honest, I don't really know what that one is supposed to resemble. Owie, that hurt my feelings and the rest of my body. Heading back towards the beginning of the dungeon, the next thing we're going to want to do, we're going to head back over towards where we were at the very beginning of this place. So yay, backtracking, ain't that fun? Backtrack on the floor, backtrack. I swear, like every time I spontaneously sing something stupid like that, I have that voice in the back of my mind that's... That voice sounds very much like James, where he's like, we're making lyrics out of literally everything. How dare you be a dummy? That's exactly what James sounds like. You again? You keep going and going. I can't outlast you. Alright, let's do it. Now, something that I want to know. I've seen this guy plenty of times in a Scary Demon dungeon, but one thing that I want to try to figure out, and I can't figure this out for the life of me, because every time I fight this guy in Scary Demon dungeon, it's in a layout where I'll get stuck in a room and I can't go much further. I want to figure out what happens if you manage to defeat this guy in the Scary Demon dungeon. Because, like, in the other playthroughs, we can fight him normally, and then he'll just run off like a little scissor baby. But tracking him down in all those rooms, I really want to know what happens. Yay! Easy. Too easy. You've got the hook shot. Why it's 2 words instead of 1, I don't know. Its chain stretches long when you use it. It's such a minor thing, but it bothers me so much that hookshot is spelled with 2 words in this game rather than 1, because on every other Zelda game it's spelled with 1 word. If we head back over here, first of all, we can use the hookshot to destroy the mask of those guys, so yeah, that's pretty awesome. This enemy that we were having a bit of a hard time with earlier, we can now make super easy. And I gotta say, that's one of the best ways you can introduce that's one of the best ways you can introduce a new item in a Zelda game. Just give you a tough enemy. Oh, 200 rupees! You're ecstatic. Just have something like that where you're gonna be given an enemy that's a little difficult to deal with, and then you give them the item that makes it super easy. That's such good Zelda design. Is there anything up here that's not the right button? Is there anything up here that I'm looking for? Yes, there is. We wanna keep going. There we go. Got to keep on grooving. Nobody gonna drink my pride. Got to keep on moving. I love this part right here. It's so much fun. Just whee! It feels so epic doing that. It's so cool. I love it so much. You got a small key. You can open a locked door. Just the hookshot in general is just so cool. And also a bit of a fun fact, the bow, the arrow, I believe that'll still show up even if you don't have the bow yet. But if you pick it up without the bow, you don't actually get any arrows or anything like that. It's a little lame. Let's head over here. That is not what I was looking for at all. I want the bracelet, not the shovel. Fairies! Also, our ruby count, it's currently 625. And that's what's his face from Lilo and Stitch. Ruben, that's what his name is. This boss fight kind of annoys me. So this one will either go super quickly or it'll go on for a frickin' eternity. So we have these 2 spiders. We want to go back and forth between them. And whenever it opens its eyes, we want to attack its stupid face. So you can use a long shot to destroy him like that. You can also use arrows or like bomb arrows or things like that. So that's pretty nice. Now, one thing I want to know. There's another projectile weapon that we'll get later in the game. What happens if you're able to glitch the game and bring that item to this place? Whenever it's shaking like that, that's when the spiders will charge for you. But whenever it's stationary, that's when we can do the super epic awesome stuff. I love button mashing the sword on the enemy as it's being destroyed. It feels so epic. Yeah, the nice thing though is that the top spider won't go after you while the bottom one's still active, so that's pretty nice. This isn't really that difficult of a mid-boss, it's just something that's a little on the annoying side. But also, this is the first time we're seeing 2 mid-bosses in the same dungeon, so that's kind of noteworthy. Yay! We did it, we did it. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We do not have the item we need. That just occurred to me. Okay, we're gonna have to backtrack for a little bit. We do have the item. We do have the portal that can take us back to the front, so That's gonna make things a little bit more convenient. Bombs! Bombs are explosive! Owie! Our Ruby Cow 66 now! Yay, Stitch! Technically, we don't need the hookshot to get this next item. Because... Whee! Yeah, I can just use the Pegasus boost to go across that. Unfortunately, we do need it for the rest of it, but wait, hold on a second. Wait, let me do that again, come on. I love that so much. The game glitches a little bit because, like... it's just so silly, but I love watching Link's running animation, like, still appearing slightly in midair. You got a small key, you can open a locked door. $50 rubies! Very nice. 726. I wonder what that experiment would look like. I think the furthest that it ever went was 629. Because Ruben was okay, Angel was 624, Ruben was 625, Stitch was 626, Evil was 627. Did we ever see what 628 looked like? Because I know at the end of the Evil episode, it showed, like one of those Hydro, like, crap, what's it called? It's Hydro something cube, where the experiments first appear. It's basically like a Lilo and Stitch Pokeball, basically. But, yeah. Did we ever see what 628 looked like? Because I know, like, Leroy wasn't 628, like, they confirmed that and things like that. So, like, what was 628? I always imagined that, like, they were gonna make, like, some kind of, that they were gonna make, like, a third movie to be based around 628, but they kind of do that with Leroy and Stitch, but it's not quite the same because he's not 628. But, like, that's something that I'm always curious about. So, like, what did 628 actually look like? And I might go over this way. I told a story during Angler's Tunnel that there was a puzzle that I always got mixed up between that place and this one. This is that puzzle. So somewhere around the Catfish Mall, there's an owl statue that'll tell you to follow the lights. If we go underwater, at the point where the lights meet up, we'll go into a secret passage. I'm gonna equip my arrow, because I'm gonna equip my feather so that we can go across here a little faster. Ooh, it's a treasure chest. I'd very much like to see the treasure chest. You got the Nightmare's key, and I can open the door to the Nightmare's lair. Oh yeah! Teleport link. Wow, that's some good teleport in there. So a bit of a fun fact, I'm also doing research on another glitch in this game that I'm hoping to demonstrate, I think in the next episode actually. So there's gonna be a glitch we'll be talking about pretty soon. And I remember wanting to see if it's possible to use this glitch to complete the dungeons out of order. And this part right here was the part where I got stuck on and wasn't able to progress much further with this specific dungeon. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next episode. Is there anything else in this place we're missing? We are missing one room. Uh-huh. Oh yeah! Oh, I didn't think that would actually work. Dive under where torching beams do cross. Yep, it's that statue I was talking about a moment ago. Now, that was completely pointless, and it's going to be wasting a lot of time, but you know what? I do not care. It's also pretty nice that they give you some Goombas before going into the boss room, so that you can like stomp on their heads to get more hearts and things like that. So that's pretty generous game design. With all that being said, next time here's just up ahead.
So, you are the outsider. Come to wake the windfish. I shall eat you.
I like this guy. I don't love his gameplay though. I like the idea of him, like his giant tail is just swinging around the air like a mace, and his mouth's gonna be popping into different holes across this. So, it is pretty fun, but I will say there is something about it that we'll be seeing in a moment that's gonna bother me. But we'll come across that in due time. After you attack the, I think his name is Snake Eel or something like that, but after you attack him, the tail will start going the other direction. So we're gonna make it like button mash and go around this way. And that's the part that I don't like. So, I believe it is entirely random when that spawns, but it's really, really annoying because there are certain times when you're playing through this game where it feels like he's just doing that over and over again and actually not making any progress. So it's a little bit on the unfortunate side. Wow, we finished it pretty easily.
You don't seem to know what kind of island this is. What a fool.
If you were to use Mambo's Mumbo to teleport to the beginning of the dungeon before you pick up the heart container, just like with the fish in the Angler's Tunnel, you do have to fight this guy again. I'm gonna pull up my album real quick, because just like we did last time, I also encountered something pretty amusing involving the Scary Demon Dungeon. Just like with the Angler's Tunnel boss fight, I came across this guy in the Scary Demon Dungeon as well. Like, I came across his boss room, and he spawned, but his sprite was replaced by like a glitchy version of those weird penguin things. I wish I got footage of this guy spawning so bad, but I didn't think about it at the time. But man, the Scary Demon Dungeons is so much fun. You get to see like insane stuff like this all the time. It's so good. With that being said, you've got the Wind Waker. I mean Wind Maramba. Shrine. An island secret in the shrine.